Chapter 19, Genie in the Bottle. My mom takes me grocery shopping with her. It's a little bit of a fight to get inside Safeway with all the protesters. People are always outside holding signs for some cause or proposition on the local ballot. They all jockey for space with the Pet Rescue Society and the Salvation Army. We get a cart, and by the time we're done, it's piled high. We never bought this much food when it was just the two of us. We could stretch a pint of ice cream over a week, but my grandfather will finish it in a single sitting. Your grandfather is eating me out of the house and home, she says as we wait in the checkout line. At least you don't have to pay a babysitter, I point out. And he's driving me nuts with the whole trash can thing. I look at her. Did you know that he has a fan club? He has a fan club? I nod. In Finland. She shakes her head in bewilderment. Unbelievable. Does he drive them crazy too? I like having him around, I tell her. Yeah, I've noticed, she replies. You two are like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. By the way, there's a bunch of extra paint at the theater if you and Brianna want to do your handprints. I hesitate. I don't know if we're going to be doing that thing anymore. My mom doesn't say anything. She just gives me a long look. Then she changes the subject. It's kind of funny that you're interested in all the science stuff. I hated it. Your grandfather used to drag me to his lab when I was a kid. What did you do? I asked. I washed test tubes. It sounds like fun to me. Were there any cool experiments? It was all completely boring. That was the problem, my mom explains. No emotion, no excitement, no drama. But I know she's wrong about this. There's lots of drama in science. Really? A bunch of boring people standing around in white lab coats? They aren't boring. They're passionate. Like you're always talking about. She raises an eyebrow, and I want to make her understand. We were losing World War II, and Oppenheimer and all these scientists created the atomic bomb and saved the day. That's pretty dramatic, right? She gives a grudging nod. Or like with Salk. Kids were dying from the polio epidemic, and everybody was scared. Jonas Salk and his whole crew of scientists believed it must be possible to stop it, so they worked night and day to find a vaccine. And they did. Something in her face softens a little. You sure know a lot about this, she says. I guess I do. Still, those stories could use some romance, my mom points out. There's a lot of romance, I insist. She looks confused. Really? Who are they in love with? Possibility, I said. We load the groceries into the car, and then I push the cart back to the store. I slow as I pass the protesters' table and surprised to see my science teacher behind one. There's a sign taped to the table that says, Abolish nuclear weapons now. Hi, Ellie, Mr. Ham says. It's always fun running into teachers when they're not in their school clothes. Mr. Ham's not wearing a tie today. Instead, he's got on a t-shirt that says, No nukes, a pair of shorts, and bright blue sneakers. Doing a little grocery shopping, he asks me. Yeah, with my mom. What's this? Oh, I volunteer for this organization a couple of times a year. He puts on his volunteer face. Could I interest you in a brochure, Miss Cruz? Do I get extra credit, I ask? Absolutely, he says with a smile. I recognize the mushroom cloud picture on the brochure. But there's another picture of a bombed-out city next to it. The caption reads, Hiroshima, the war begins. But the atomic bomb ended the war, I said, confused. Mr. Ham gives me a questioning look. Did it? Or will it start a larger war? Because we're always going to be waiting for the next bomb to drop. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. I hear a horn honking. My mom's pulled up to the curb. Looks like your ride's here, he says. After I get in the car, I look back at Mr. Ham. He gives me a little wave. When I go to get breakfast the next morning, my mom and grandfather are already in the kitchen. I thought I told you not to put the trash cans out at night, my mom says fiercely. What? You should be happy I took them out at all. There is a reason I told you not to do that, she said. Come with me. We follow her outside. The cans are next to the curb and the lids have been knocked open. Gross. Rotting, stinking trash that's been strewn all across the street by some enthusiastic animal. We have raccoons! She narrows her eyes. Maybe your Finnish fan club can help you clean it up. Then she stomps off. Chapter 20. Mad Scientist. Halloween's coming up fast. This is the first year I won't be going trick-or-treating. The town likes to keep the older kids off the streets, so there's a dance party at the youth center on Halloween night. In science class, Mr. Ham is already getting into the spirit of things. His tie has skeletons on it. Are you going to the Halloween party? I ask Momo. She shakes her head. I have to take my little brother trick-or-treating. I asked Raj at lunch if he's going. Sure I am, he says. Halloween is the best night of the whole year. You get to get dressed up. Please, says grandfather. It's Halloween for you every day. I decide that I want to go, but I don't know what to wear. For the past few Halloweens, Brianna and I coordinated our costumes, but I don't need a PhD to know that she and I won't be doing the whole buddy costume thing this year. My mom offers to take me to the high school so I can look through the wardrobe closet in the theater. I've got a great hippie costume for my production of Hair, she tells me. I shake my head. Yeah, it's not me. For my parents, costumes are no big thing. It's part of their job, like a uniform. But I think what you wear on Halloween is important. It says something about you, who you are, and what you want to be. There's got to be a reason for so many girls go around dressed as princesses and witches. I dig through, and when I see it, I know instantly that it's perfect. I don't know why I didn't think of it in the first place. On Halloween night, I hole up in my room, getting dressed. When I make my grand entrance, my mom and Ben are already sitting on the front porch, big bowls of candy on their laps. They're in costume too. She's dressed as Little Bo Peep, complete with the skirt and shepherdess crook. But it's Ben's costume that makes it. He's dressed up as the sheep. He's wearing a fluffy white costume and has a sign on his chest that says, "I'm not lost, I just hate asking for directions." "Bah," says Ben. I laugh, but my grandfather shakes his head like he just doesn't understand. "Are you supposed to be Einstein?" Ben asks me. I'm wearing a white lab coat and crazy bushy white wig. I've got thick glasses and I'm holding a test tube filled with glow-in-the-dark green paint. "Just your basic mad scientist," I tell him. My grandfather told me he was too old for Halloween, so he's wearing his usual outfit. Polyester pants, button-up shirt, and a cardigan. Black socks and loafers. I convinced him to wear a neon orange ponytail holder so he could at least look a little Halloween-y. "Don't tell me," my mom teases him. "You're supposed to be an old man." My grandfather scowls at her. Ha ha. Ben greets trick-or-treaters while my mom takes us over to the youth center. We wait for Raj outside and check out the costumes. There's a lot of angels and devils dressed up. I lost my spot. My favorite is two kids who have dressed up as Dorothy and the Tin Woodman, except they switched it up. The boy is Dorothy and the girl is the Tin Woodman. The flyer said there would be food. "I haven't had a caramel apple in years," he says. Raj walks up and he's not wearing any black at all. In fact, he's wearing green chino pants and a pink polo shirt and has the collar turned up. A white sweater is tied around his shoulders and his belt has whales on it. He's traded in his black Doc Martens for brown loafers with no socks and he's dyed his hair blonde and combed it back. I would hardly even recognize me. "What are you supposed to be?" He sticks his hand in his pockets and slouches. "Preppy." I laugh. My grandfather shifts awkwardly. "So, what do we do now?" "I think we're supposed to have fun," I say. "Fun? What a waste of time," he grumbles. We pay our money and head inside. It's dark and music thumps out of the stereo. Black lights and orange day-glow decorations are everywhere. There are strobe lights and even a fog machine. My grandfather heads straight for the food and we trail after him. No caramel apples. I feel a twinge of unease now that I'm here. I'm not much of a dancer, even though I've taken ballet, tap, and jazz. It's the whole being on stage thing. I always freeze up or overthink the steps or how I look when I'm doing them. A bouncy pop song comes on. "Want to dance?" Raj asks. "My dancing days are over," my grandfather replies. "Not you," Raj clarifies. "Ellie." I feel my cheeks heat up. Sure," I whisper. I don't know if it's the music or the dark or the safety of the costume, but the nervousness I usually feel when stepping on a dance floor melts away, and I find myself jumping and twirling next to Raj. The music pounds like a pulse through the floor, and it's so loud you can't think. I feel like it's the undertow of the ocean. I'm just swept along everything reduced to senses. The sticky heat of the air, the brush of an elbow, the flash of a strobe light. I'm a jellyfish glowing in the dark sea, bright and brilliant, just waiting to be discovered. When the music stops, my eyes meet Raj, and we both gasp, grinning at each other. And then I look around for my grandfather. He's slumped in a chair on the side of the room, his head nodding into his chest, fast asleep like an old man.